Hello, I'm Robert Knowles,
And I'm Richard Simpson.
and today we're going to look at the Second Battle of the Somme. The Second Battle of the Somme was the direct response to the German spring offensive that started from the Hindenburg Line and pushed into the Allies' lines.
No mention of the Americans in the Somme offensive. Reading Times, Reading, Pennsylvania, 24 August 1918. Although the Americans at the commencement of the Somme offensive were brigaded with the British along the northern bank of the Somme, no mention of their having taken part in the fighting has been made. It is probable that they have been moved to some other portion of the battlefront from which Marshal Foch contemplates another smash at the enemy.
The Second Battle of the Somme started August 22 of 1918. It went till the initial push went till August the 26th. It comprised armies from the Australian military, the Canadian military, the British military, and the United States. They hit the Germans, and they hit them hard. After much fighting, they pushed the Germans back, and we're almost to pushing them back to their starting point, which they will do later. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
Believe Pershing's forces are taking over new front. Philadelphia Inquirer, 24 August 1918. Washington, August 23rd. Almost unvarying success described in today's dispatches, telling of the great Allied offensive on the 50-mile front stretching from Soissons northward to the environs of Arras, raised hopes in military circles here for the most decisive defeat yet administered to the Germans. Observers were of the opinion that General Foch's whittling tactics of the past 6 weeks have been so effective that the opportunity has come for a glorious harvest. Absence of any mention of American troops in the descriptions of the great fight led to interested speculation as to the whereabouts of General Pershing's 30 divisions, which, according to recent announcement, are to be included in the 1st American Field Army. That practically all of these units have completed the training for which they were brigaded with the French and British has been known for some time. General March, the Chief of Staff, in his interviews with the press, has frequently referred to the return of additional divisions to the American Commander-in-Chief. It has been thought, however, that the considerable number of American troops are with the British Third and Fourth Armies, and most military officers were at a loss to understand why they had not been identified in the capture of some of the important enemy positions overrun during the day. Recent evidence of the mettle of Pershing's forces made it certain, it is believed, that if the American divisions were with the Allied troops, their locality tonight would be at the apex of the advance. The most interesting theory heard was that the movement of American divisions to the sector assigned to the 1st American Army is underway, all the divisions heretofore with the British having been withdrawn for the purpose and replaced by new units or reorganized veteran organizations brought up from rest billets.
On September 2nd, the Canadian, Australian, and United States attacked the Hindenburg Line. They broke through and pushed the Germans past their starting point. These battles ended in the early days of October, and thus ended the Second Battle of the Somme.
The American troops in the Fiume sector have advanced as far north as the Soissons-Rheims road, according to the War Office announcement tonight. The statement says, quote, west of Fiume, the American troops have carried their line as far as the Soissons-Rheims road on a front of about 800 meters. With the American Army on the Velay front, observers reported today that the German long-range cannon north of Aisne were firing in the directions of Soissons. They also reported seeing smoke from fires which burned all night at various points between the Velay and the Aisne. Prisoners recently taken declare they are unable to explain these fires, which have been burning for 3 days. Belief is growing here that the Germans are being forced to withdraw north of the Velay. The diminished activity of the German artillery give rise to the suspicion that the enemy was preparing to abandon the ground south of the Aisne
The completion of the Battle of the Somme marked the end of one phase of the battle, pushing the Germans back past their starting point, the spring offensive. Shortly after this, in November, even though there'd be fighting all the way up to the 11th hour of the 11th day, World War I would come to an end. And at the end of World War I, two countries would come out of World War I with a different reputation. Before World War I, Canada and the United States weren't looked at on the world stage as players. After World War I, they were countries with reputations, good reputations of men who would go into battle, fight, win, and die if need be. World War I helped shape Canada and the United States into the countries that they are today, both in their military and as a people, and on the world stage. I've been Robert Knowles.
And I'm Richard Simpson. Thank you, and good night.
Richard and I would like to thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Until we meet again, another point in history. Have a good day.